Hello and welcome to Strutty News TV. In this show, we're going to predict the lineup for Manchester United against Crystal Palace. At Old Trafford, United looking to come back after a defeat to City last week and a draw the week beforehand to Chelsea. So we want 3 points back on the board and put some pressure on the teams above us. I've got Pasha on the panel tonight. And Ian, how are you, Pasha?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Dale. Thanks for having me on again.
And Ian, how are you?
Yeah, not much. Not bad. Getting back into the swing of things with straight news, man.
So we all have our team selections laid out. I have my team. Ian has the graphics set up. I'll get to that quickly in a second. And we're going to give reasons of why we picked this team. Whether you agree or not, please comment in the comment section and let us know who you'd pick and who you wouldn't pick any given player. There's obviously Stoves ground the Raphael is not fit. We're taking that into account. Small's suspension, and of course Robin van Persie not being in form and reportedly being dropped tomorrow. So cutting to Ian's image, as you can see, I'm going for a 4-2-3-1. David De Gea in goal. You have no real doubts about that one. Arguably the best goalkeeper in the league, and actually that's a question for this one. Let us know who you think is the best goalkeeper in the league. I'm going to go for an argument between Lloris and David De Gea. Pasha and Ian will come in with their teams and maybe give their view on who the best goalkeeper in the league is. The back four, I suppose, full-backs, Small on the left. There's no real argument there with Rojo injured for 6 weeks with a shoulder. And Valencia on the right, not ideal case scenario, Raphael out, but he's makeshift, and I can't think of anyone else with Small and Jones out injured. And with that in mind, with those players injured, and Small and suspended, I've not gone for Carrick experience in the centre back here, and I've gone for youngsters inexperience, and I think it's definitely worth a try. Blackett and McNair. The reason I've gone for two to hold midfielders being Carrick, his experience in midfield, and Blind's a very good holder midfielder, very tidy, is they do offer that support for the back four. And you can see with Campbell and Shamak, one plays off the other, and if that midfield can close tight as they attack, it offers that bit more support for Blackett and McNair. And depending on the position sense of the fullbacks, they can also chip in if they're not up and down the wing. I've gone for a three-man midfield. I would like to see Di Maria play a bit more central. He's playing wide a lot, and I just find that you want a player like Di Maria in the game. You want him involved, and you want him doing things. You want him on the ball the whole time and creating chances, and that's what he's best at. Sometimes he looks a bit isolated out top or out wide, and you want to see him in the game. Like I said, I'm bringing Herrera back in the team. I know Fellaini's not in this team. He's performing very well lately, but it's been a while since Herrera started, and it's worth a chance against Crystal Palace. So hopefully he's in good form and puts out a good performance and gives Louis van Gaal a bit of a headache. Rooney then back in the centre. We have no kind of questions about that one. Rooney's our captain, as Louis van Gaal keeps saying. Performed as a leader against City, I thought. When Rojo got injured, United's head really dropped, and I thought it was Rooney's just individual captaincy that really drove us on forward and showed a bit of character. I did mention reportedly that with Robin van Persie performing so poorly, there's shouts for Wilson to come into the side and start. I don't see why not. Van Persie's not scoring goals. We've nothing to lose out on. Wilson's a young guy who wants to prove himself. Radamel Falcao was injured, and apart from that, we haven't got many options. They're just going to play Rooney up front and maybe Mata into the number 10 role, but that's it really. Of course, looking at the numbers and so on, you see there's a few numbers that are incorrect, including Carrick's. Nothing we could do about that. The system kind of went a bit sideways on us. Like I said, disagree with this or have your own predictions, let us know in the comment section. Next up, I'm going to pass you over to Pasha. Tell us about your team, Pasha.
Yeah, so hi you guys. Thank you again, Dale. Obviously I have David De Gea in goal. I did the 4-1-2-1-2 formation with Valencia right back, Carrick right center back, and left center back Blackett and Shaw. I picked Blackett specifically because we know how Louis van Gaal likes the right-footed center back and left-footed center back combination. And the reason why I dropped Patty Mac there and placed Carrick because we need that experience. Because I want this same team, and hopefully not Valencia, obviously, but besides the other two, to start against Arsenal too, because we need that fluid and consistency to keep going. So besides that, then I went to the midfield. Blin obviously in the holding role, and you can't drop Fellaini on the right hand side. He's been phenomenal. And then on the left hand side, I have Angel Di Maria, which that's what he played in Real Madrid, and that's where he was vital, even in the Champions League final. As opposed to the last two games, we said when he was much more out wide, he was a more of a lethal, as opposed to like in the second half, we saw when he was much more in, we saw how much fluid he was. And that will definitely hurt them because Miles Jedinak, their captain, and he's a outstanding holding defender, not only for his club but for Australia too, which I've seen glimpses of. And with his red card against Sunderland, that's vital for us, and that's going to be key. But I did something weird. I put Ander Herrera in the holding, the hole because of how experienced he is playing for Athletic Bilbao in that position and how vital he was for them. And obviously, up top, I have Rooney and Wilson because I dropped RVP because we've seen glimpses of him. He hasn't been himself at all. So, yeah. And then obviously I have Rooney and Wilson up top to show glimpses of the youngster.
Thanks, Pasha. Ian's just going to get his team ready in a few moments. I did mention, of course, you have Valencia at right back, and I'm on him being a makeshift. The left winger for Palace, I can't pronounce him, Balassi, is a lot of bundles of pace. And I just think we need to be wary of that. And if with Valencia's pace and strength, I think he can hopefully get the better of him, but who knows. Right, Ian is ready with his team. I'm going to cross over to Ian. Ian, why have you selected this starting 11?
I've selected this starting 11. I've gone slightly back with yours. I was liking the two young centre-backs. They worked well during the start of the season. And I think that Carrick, in actual fact, his role here works well. And he's worked well for a number of years. And I've actually changed Van Persie with Wilson in this. I changed my mind during thinking. But if Van Persie does start on this game, Carrick's through balls that normally go into the channels here. So, for instance, if this was Van Persie plays off the back of defence. If you ever watched Gary Neville on Monday Night Football on Monday, he mentions this. The Carrick's through balls used to find Van Persie in this position or this position, depending on which side of the pitch that Carrick played. So that's the reason why that Carrick has to sit in the midfield there rather than a centre back for me. And if it all goes tits up, then Carrick can drop back and we can replace Nair for Amir, for instance, in this case. So this is my team. Luke Shaw, obviously, is coming up in some form. I still like to see him at his best, like we saw from Southampton. I think there's a lot more to come from him. Like I said, Black and Matt is quite a step forward. Valencia, although Rafael is out, Valencia is the closest one we've got to a right back at the moment. And he's got to deal with Balassi's pace. Now, Balassi is quite quick down his side, so hopefully he'll counter him down that side. I've gone for Blind, obviously, and Carrick holding. I think that just gives us... Blind does a superb job holding on his own anyway, which may give it a sort of room for manoeuvre for four in midfield and them to drop into that diamond that Pasha's just used. So I do think that's another vital point to having Carrick in the team, that he can actually move further up the pitch than where he needs to be at times, especially on the attack. Di Maria and Januzaj, I've always been a fan of United for their width and pace out wide. Di Maria, obviously, we wanted to play more inside, but when he flips it outside and he gets the crosses, when he actually sits right where punching is there, and he brings balls in the box across this end, and you've got something to deliver to Wilson or Van Persie. And he did that for his first couple of games. He really showed those sort of balls that could come in from that left-hand side and really scare teams, especially in the area between the centre-backs and the goalkeeper. So that was really sort of my point for wanting to play Di Maria. He doesn't have to play just inside, although it is scary when he goes running like that as well. Januzaj from this side, he got double-teamed against... Who did we play at home the last time out? Was it West Ham? Everton.
The last team at home were Chelsea.
No, the term after that was was Everton, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Everton did a job on him that day. They double teamed up on him. He didn't come into the game, and it was Raphael that actually did most of the work in that game. I think I'm not so sure if I put it in a previous point, the previous video. So I'm hoping that we could, if Bolassi's getting that further forward, then it gives Januzaj that sort of more freedom, and he's got Valencia to overlap as well. If Valencia's coming wider, and he can just sit in there like that, then you've got actually a really good counter-attacking pace in that side, on that side of the. I'm not saying in actual fact it's rather a balanced team for United for once, where you can actually have two real good talented wingers that can run past and two full-backs that can also can overlap as well. Like I say, Rooney for me just drops back in for his captaincy role. He did superb against City. Hopefully, if he needs to drop back a bit further, then like I say, that we can end up with Rooney and Carrick, and then Rooney can spread the balls around. And Wilson on top of that one. I'd like to see him start ahead of Van Persie just because of his youthfulness. Van Hal's announced today that he really is pushing for his place in the squad, and I think that sort of shows that he's been able to do that when Van Persie's been so poor. But if he does go for if he doesn't go really down the youthful side, and maybe, for instance, we see Wilson on in the second half if Van Persie's not made that impact, then I'd really like to see him get amongst Delaney and Dan at the back. That's all from me.
Thanks, Ian. It's funny that the three of us have went for James Wilson. And there's a lot of fans are calling out from, especially we had an article on the blog today from Paul Rose who talked about a Van Persie on edge and a Wilson really pushing for his place. And you can find that on the blog right now at strikynews.com. We put it in the description. It is a short video just touching on the predicted lineups. It's something new we might start implementing because it'll be different every week, and we'll see who gets right, who gets wrong, who gets close with formations and so on. I might do a bit of a scorecard maybe if I win. That's it anyway for this show. I'd like to thank Pasha for coming on, and of course Ian for providing the graphs with his Gary Neville giant iPad.
Yeah, it works quite nicely, I think. Unfortunately, I can't make it. Yeah, unfortunately, it only works for Windows 8, so unfortunately, we can't have it all to really get into the in-depth of the technical parts that Gary Neville likes to do. But I have picked up on a lot of what he says, and some of it is really thingy. Those through balls that I was just mentioning there that Carrick plays in, he plays them across the floor for 30, 40 yards. And they got in Van Persie in places for the past couple of seasons that showed his goal scoring form, and maybe over the top sometimes. And that was the sort of missing link. And Gary Neville alluded to this on Monday Night Football. That was the missing link between him. And Aguero plays a similar place in City's right on the shoulder of the last man, and he only makes a couple of movements, and he gets into similar positions to Van Persie. But it's the quality of the content of the ball that gets to him that made the difference.
Absolutely. Before we wrap it up, Ian, your scoreline for the weekend?
Now you've actually put me on it because we're not properly said about this. I'm going to go 3-0.
United without conceding a goal.
Yes, I think that we should be just over too much. And you've got Carrick and Blind in there to sit back, and you could really have 6 at the back at one point, 7 at the back.
Pasha?
Yeah, I was going to go with 3-0, but when I think about it, Jason Punchin, I think, will be back, and he has the most assists for the club, and he's been vital for them, I think, with like 3 assists. We're always prone to concede, unfortunately, these days, and it's not De Gea's fault. It's majority of our back line. I think it'll be 3-1, but it won't, obviously, no English Premier League game is easy, but however, I do believe that it should be a must-win game because we have Arsenal coming up, and that's even a bigger game. But I do think it's a good way to be ready before the Arsenal game comes up, because Arsenal, we got to batter them to pieces. Tired of seeing Wenger with his ugly ass coat, but hopefully it will be soon. Yeah.
First away win of the season, hopefully. As for the Palace game, I'm going to go for a 3-2 win. I do think we're going to concede. But then again, it depends on the starting 11. Van Gaal goes with it. I think if he does go with Blinn and Carrick in those home positions, it will just help us that bit more secure at the back line, regardless of who's back there. That's it for us. Until after the game at least, and we'll give a bit of a review. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Check out Striking News TV on Twitter, and of course Striking News on Facebook. All the links are in the comments or in the description box below. And again, tell us your lineup predictions before the game, and tell us why you agree or disagree with ours. Thanks for watching. See you next week.